everyone. Hi, guys, and welcome to Wed Vibes live session. And I'm so glad to see so many familiar faces. David, Jim, Sandra. Hi, guys. Excited to see you. If it's your first time with us, welcome. And if we haven't met, my name is Alina, and I'm a co-owner of Wed Vibes. And you know, guys, that at Wed Vibes, our mission is to help you to grow your business by empowering with all kinds of PR and marketing insights and talking about backend of your business. So you will convert your talent into success. And this session is part of this movement. And we have a very special guest, Steve Moore, founder of Sinclair Moore. And he gonna unfold the topic, how unconventional thinking helped him to build his business. And as a tradition, I will ask you before we will dive in to put in the chat your name, where you're joining from, and your profession. And please, especially it's your first time with us, please also send hi to me, to Steve, to Web Vibes team, and to fellow professionals, because I always encourage you to put the chat on fire. If you're here just as a listeners, don't think that like you have nothing to do. You can network, you can put in the chat comments and insights, because the more present and active you listen, the better outcome will be for your business. And I usually say, please at least write down one actionable insight during this session, so you will apply in next 72 hours. And this is how you feel that, yeah, you really just not came to listen, but you did something good for your business. And yeah, please use the chat. You know, guys, the chat button is in the bottom. And while you're doing that, I will give the right introduction to Steve, who probably doesn't need introduction at all. But because we're going to talk about your life journey and how your unconventional approach helped you to create what you create, I feel like it's necessary also to share some facts about you, Steve, that we know and we learned. So, Steve has refined immersive celebration, turning spaces into experiences that feel architectural and emotional. His work doesn't just decorate a room, it transforms it. But long before building one of the most respected design studios in the industry, Steve was teaching himself cake decorating, dressmaking, and even playing piano at weddings. Right, Steve?
That's
Was it
right.
part of
Used to
your
do all these
journey,
things.
right? So very
Yes.
unconventional and very
Yeah.
creative journey. And inspired early on by father of the bride. I didn't know that, but if I read about you, you knew that this world was where you belong. And today, work of Steve was featured in Martha Stewart weddings, Vogue, Wet Vibes, and of course many other media. And we're very excited and honored to have you today again, because we already had you in Wow for Girl Congress. And now the place is yours. Please share your insights. And guys, I know that sometimes when we have such a tremendous speakers, you can feel, okay, he's a different person. He's so creative. I'm not probably that big as Steve, but
Oh,
yeah, use these insights to as this inspiration. And usually the approach of somebody else helps us to build some bravery and to understand better that there is no one way for everybody to figure out how to get what we want. There are multiple ways, and mostly the approach of different people help us to build our approach. All right, Steve, now passing over to you.
awesome. Well, thank you for having me again, and I'm excited to be here. That was such a generous introduction. I think you think I'm a much bigger deal than I am. I'm just like everybody else, trying to make a living, support my family, and bring beauty into this world. So, what I'm excited today to share with you guys is basically how I've built my business. And to tell you a little bit more about myself, I started my company, Sinclair and More, 24 years ago. Originally, it was Stephen Moore Designs, and Sinclair and More became the name of it after I got married. My wife's middle name, it's her family name, is Sinclair. Her mom's middle name is Sinclair, her grandma, her great grandma, and our daughter, her middle name is Sinclair. So it's a very special part of her family and now our family. Once we got married, she joined the company. Everyone treated her like my secretary. And so we renamed to give her the ownership and to include her in the title. So that's where Sinclair and More comes from. As Alina mentioned, I started off, years ago. Originally, I was a dressmaker. I did wedding cakes, and then I slowly added flowers to that. I used to do music at weddings, and then about 24 years ago, I combined all of these things together to form the business. And so I did both the design, the dressmaking, the cakes, and the coordination. And over the years, I have slowly evolved and changed, and I have done less and less and less. So currently, what we offer now is we're both wedding planning team and event design. We no longer do the flowers in-house. Definitely do not make dresses anymore or cakes unless they're for my kids. And so that's where our business is now. We have been blessed with so many opportunities to travel the world and create throughout the world and to be part of some really significant events. And it's not lost on me. Sometimes I just close my eyes and kind of take in the scents and the smells and just like where I'm at that moment, touch the building in Italy that's been there for hundreds of years because it's these are pinch me moments because I never thought when I got started that I would have some of the opportunities. I came from a very small town, didn't have a lot of money to build my business with, and I never thought I would be outside of the community that I'm at. So every time we get to travel and create for people across the world. It is just not something I take for granted. But we started small, and this is kind of what I want to talk to you guys about today is what I did and the things that we created, and the principles that we had to build our business. And we have called this basically how untraditional thinking built my business beyond the blueprint. A lot of times, if you were to have taken business classes in school, they're going to have textbook answers for you. They're going to have things that say, like, this is exactly how you build your business, to start with your business plan, to get all your numbers and your money figured out, and then start building. And what I'm going to share with you is not the kind of things that you would find in your textbook. It's going to be really what has worked for me because I did go to college, and I did go to business school, and I lasted in business school for literally 2 days. And I realized this is not for me. The math was overwhelming me. Their mindset was overwhelming me, and I was like, I'm not like these people. And so I never thought I could have a business. And so when I did open my business, I had to figure out how to run it, how to grow it, how to market it, and who I was going to be known for. And so, what I'm going to share with you today is what I have done over the last 24 years and how I've built my business. And I think you're going to see it's a bit untraditional from what you might have learned in college. So, my number one business principle is kindness. Kindness is the foundation for everything that we do. It is the foundation for what we believe in, how we treat others, both our clients, our staff, um, and other vendors within this industry. Kindness will grow your business so much more than anything else. We work in an industry where, uh, especially with all of the AI coming out and so much is like we're sitting behind a screen. We get to work in an industry where we are still interacting face to face with brides and grooms and their families and their guests. And the way that we treat them is something that they will remember forever. Um, Taking the time to understand them, to know them, and to find ways to treat them with kindness. We also live in a world right now that it seems like everyone is angry with each other and pretty hateful. You cannot be on social media for longer than 30 seconds before you go to a comment section and you see people tearing each other apart over the most simple post. Um, if you want to stand out in this world, the way that you treat people and the kindness that you have, it will leave a lasting mark. Just last week, I had it was I did their wedding 20 years ago. And she just reached out to me again last year. And I was excited when I saw her name. The title of the email was our daughter. And so I saw her name. I saw the Our Daughter and I got excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be hired to do a generation wedding. And I assumed that it was going to be about, um, I assumed it was going to be about doing their daughter's wedding. I knew that they had had a baby shortly after their wedding, and I was like, it would be a young marriage, but she started off, she's like, you might not remember me. You did our wedding 20 years ago. And I'm like, of course I remember you. She said, you treated us with so much kindness that I wanted to reach out to you again. And then she went into their 17-year-old daughter had just passed away. And she was like, I know you plan weddings. I'm just wondering if you could help us plan our daughter's memorial. I can't think of anyone else that we could work with in this situation. She was drawing back to the kindness from 20 years ago for comfort in a situation 20 years later that where she found herself brokenhearted, kind of just destroyed by that situation. And so being able to jump in and we're going to help her and figure out how to plan something beautiful for her daughter to honor her. Kindness goes so much further than just crunching numbers, than just thinking how it's all going to connect and all work for you. How you treat people, this is the number one thing. Looking at your interactions, looking when you have opportunities to justifiably respond with irritation, frustration, snarky remarks. And trust me, I have been in plenty of those. Um, been in plenty of those over the years where I could have responded one way, but when you respond in kindness, it can take a tense situation and soften it. In December, I had a client that reached out to me, and it's a current client. I'm doing their wedding in May, and they were really harsh to me about something that was completely out of my control. They started yelling at me. It was first started over email, and then I was like, "Hey, I think we should hop on a Zoom call. Let's." They they started yelling at me over the Zoom. They told me that I was an embarrassment. All of this came because they were asking for things that were outside of their budget, and I was showing them the cost and giving them a wide range of like you can go from this to this. But because they couldn't have what they wanted within their budget, they were taking their frustration out on me. And also, they're building a home and they have a lot going on in life. And they said some pretty harsh things to me. Um, and I wanted to respond. I wanted to fire them as a client. I wanted to just let go. But instead, I figured out what were the things I could address and fix. What were the things that I could gently respond back with. And it diffused the entire situation. And they have since come back apologizing, mortified by their words, and have given me credit for how I handled that situation. So if you can be kind and gentle in situations that you don't want to be, you will see how it diffuses that situation. Um, Kindness is everything. And a lot of what I'm going to talk about is going to reference back to this because the next one kind of goes hand in hand. Um, the next one is generosity. I firmly believe that a generous person prospers. Um, the more you give, the more you will receive, and you will see what you give come back on you tenfold, especially at the beginning and especially when it's hard and it is a sacrifice. I feel like this is even more the time to show generosity. Generosity comes out in different ways in your business depending on who you're dealing with. So this isn't just client interaction. This is being generous with my staff and how I'm paying them, how I'm giving little bonuses to them. It's generosity with my vendors, and of course, generosity with your clients as well. Back when I was doing flowers in house, we would go to the flower market and those things open early, sometimes at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. No one wants to be there. Everyone is tired. Everyone's grumpy. And I started doing little things because if the market opened at 3 a.m. in LA, for example, if the market opened at 3 a.m., that meant that flower farmers probably got there at 1 a.m. to start setting up, meaning they probably started setting up and loading their trucks at 9 or 10 and then doing a multiple hour drive and going straight into loading. They were tired and exhausted, and farmers worked so hard. And so I started coming with little gift cards, like $10 gift cards to Starbucks, just so that they could run and grab themselves a coffee. Sometimes I would even just arrive with, when I would have my staff with me, I'd arrive with those little containers full of coffees just to hand out to these farmers that had worked so hard and were providing. I'm going to tell you, they offered me the best product. They reserved the best product. If they knew the colors of my wedding, if it was things that I hadn't ordered, they would have beautiful products set behind their counter for me. They're like, you don't have to take this, but I thought of you because this would go so beautifully with your wedding. People used to ask me all the time, how do you always get the best product? How do you always get these things that we don't even know what they're called and they just happen to be here at the market? How do you get them when we're all getting here at 3 o'clock? It's like, I'm the one showing up with coffee. I'm the one being generous and kind and thoughtful and intentional with these people. So if you can look around and see ways that you could be generous. When I first started my business, I lived above a gelato shop. I didn't have much money. Like I did not have much money when I started my business. In fact, like if I didn't get my first client, I was looking to like have to move out of that apartment because I couldn't afford rent. And thank God I got my first client because they paid me and I went immediately and paid my rent for that next month. That's how like severe of a situation I was in. I was definitely living at the time month to month, but I still found ways to be generous. And as I lived above this gelato shop, they had the best gelato in town. And so my clients would come to my apartment to meet with me, and I would sometimes, especially if I knew that they were stressed out or things were feeling tense between them as a couple, I would give them like a $15 gelato gift card or something that I could afford to say, like, hey, why don't you enjoy a little date on me? And at the time, that's all I could afford. But it was the act of giving them something, thinking about them, with a little note saying, go enjoy something sweet, even if it's just like 10 minutes of enjoying some ice cream downstairs after this meeting. It was the thoughtfulness, little things like that. The more I was generous to them, the more they trusted me. And the more they trusted me, the more I was able to deliver a wedding for them without them hovering over me, without them uh, kind of demanding I tell them every little thing that I was planning to do. They trusted me, they let go. They knew I had their best interest. They knew that they were not just a financial transaction. They understood I had their best interest in mind. I cared about them and what that did for my business. One, just by being trusted, I was able to do crazier things that I wouldn't have been able to do. And two, they also started telling other people because they respected me so much. Um, so wherever you're at, maybe you don't get Starbucks yourself, and instead you buy a gift card with that money and you give that to someone else. We all have the ability, no matter what our finances are, to find ways to be generous. And as you go through life and go through business situations, you will find ways uh, to do this. There's a big saying within our industry, exposure doesn't pay the bills. I disagree. I get the sentiment behind that. I don't like doing things for free either. I totally get that. And I totally get how annoying it is when a multi-millionaire influencer reaches out to you and they want their wedding done for free. Like that's annoying. It's like of all people, you can pay for it. You're so entitled to think that I should give this for free. However, I have been in so many situations that when I have given, and sometimes the only payment I received back was the little bit of exposure that I was given from that wedding or that situation, I have been shocked how it has come back on me tenfold. There was an influencer who was very entitled that I used to help out all the time. You guys doing that and the generosity that I shared towards her and the ways that I would come and make her events bigger and better and give of myself. Um, I booked so many weddings from being tagged in those things. So I'm gonna go against the grain of I know when it says exposure doesn't pay the bills, sometimes it does. And if you have the means, sometimes helping out, sometimes uh, giving things that might feel like a cost, it comes back. It always comes back. There's times where generosity means giving your time. And there's been situations where I have given my time away. I had a client, I did her wedding in Italy. And it was right before it was our last meeting before we all flew over to Italy, tying up loose ends. And at the end of the meeting, and I'd worked with this girl now for over a year. And at the end of this meeting, she said, "You're not going to remember this." And she said, I swore I would never actually tell you this. She's like, "But more than a decade ago, we called you for my sister's wedding and we could not afford you for my sister's wedding." And she goes, "You stayed on that call for over an hour with us." And she's like, "I'm pretty sure you knew within a couple minutes that we cannot afford you." But she goes, "You stayed on the call. You sent us all of your planning documents, the budget sheets, and vendor recommendations because you knew that we couldn't afford you." And she said, "I vowed to myself that one day I would be able to afford you and hire you for my own wedding." And she was like, "You probably don't even remember that call." And I totally did. I absolutely remembered it. Um, but that act of kindness, that act of generosity of time, it took 10 years, but I still saw the return, and it ended up being one of my most profitable weddings that I've ever done in my entire career. So you never know when extending yourself, giving your time, giving your finances, finding ways to, gosh, what I do now sometimes is if I know a client is struggling or having a bad day, sometimes I'll just even send them a quick little DoorDash gift card to be like, "Hey, thinking about you. I hope you can order dinner in and take this off of yourself tonight. One less thing to do today." Which kind of leads to the next thing. Open your eyes. Open your eyes and see the people around you, see their needs. We go through our world so focused on our phone, focused on ourself, focused on our business and our needs, and we are in this fast-paced world. I get it. Um, and because of the speed and the demands and the urgency with which we are doing everything in life, we buzz right by people, usually seeing other people as an irritation and as an annoyance versus looking at them and identifying, wow, there's something that's within me that I can give or help or see or do something for them to make their day better. This has transformed my business in a lot of different ways. One, business is stressful. It just is. And a lot of times you feel like you're in it alone. And you feel like you are the only one struggling. You feel like you are the only one who is in these certain situations. You're the only one that just got told no to for the 10th time by a potential client. You're the only one who seems to be too expensive or the only one who's too cheap. It sometimes feels like you can't get anything right. But when you start opening your eyes and seeing other people, you realize you're in it together. You also take your eyes off of your own problems and your own struggles. And by helping other people out, for even if it's just momentarily, you realize, gosh, my problems aren't so bad. Like we're in it together. And there's something that happens within your soul when you have given part of your time away, part of your finances away, part of your energy away to help somebody else. But that doesn't happen if you are so stuck on your own circumstances. Open your eyes and see the needs of people around you, and opportunities will present themselves to give, to help. I used to go through the flower market again, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. People were stressed, especially people that had ordered their flowers too late and they knew they had this demanding client, but their blush flowers came in hot pink. Um, you could see the stress on their eyes. How am I going to make this work? If I had the ability, the other thing about me is I always over ordered. I ordered way more than I needed just because I always wanted to give more to my client. It's just what florists do too. Like you have this fear of not having enough. Like, what if they come in dead? What if they come in the wrong color? And so if I would always go and I would look, be like, okay, I know what I actually need. I also know I got the best of the best because my people gave me the best of the best product. I would say, hey, I have 2 buckets of these roses. Will that help you? Finding ways to reallocate what I had to help people. Or if I knew there was this florist that I knew was designing a wedding for a hard person. I knew because I had done their sister's wedding and I was smart enough to turn down the second wedding. And I knew that this particular designer was working out of their mom's kitchen at the time. I didn't have a wedding that weekend because I was smart and I did not take one over Labor Day or Memorial Day weekend. And I did not take on this client because I knew that they would eat me alive again, like they did the first time around. And so I offered that designer the use of my studio and the use of anything I had, like my vases. You guys, it technically were they my competition? Yes. Was she someone that like we would go after the same weddings? Yes, all the time. But that act of kindness, because I opened my eyes and I saw she was struggling. I knew what she was going through because I had been through it as well with that same client. By giving her the space, that act of kindness, it softened her whole weekend. It gave her the space she needed. It took some stress off her shoulders. Um, she ended up on my staff later on working for me as one of my main designers after she closed down her business. um, these things, it comes back for you being known as kind, for a kind person, being known for your generosity, being known as someone that goes through life seeing what people need and helping them. These people are eager to come back and help you. I was once in the hospital, um, and I mentioned on social media, and the amount of people that were offering to fly in to help me with the wedding that weekend, it was amazing. My wife, when she had her first child, she was back in the hospital for like 2 weeks later. And I had a very big celebrity wedding that was going to be televised, that everyone knew I was part of. And the amount of people that showed up for me, I flew in the night before that wedding, oversaw a little bit of the setup and flew away while that wedding was still happening because this army of people, most of which I had never met before in my life, showed up for me. But it was because of these things that I had done, and the way I had invested in other people's life. It always, always comes back. Okay, I'm going to keep going through. Serve. We live in a world where our focus is on ourselves, and we would rather be in a situation where we are becoming famous or going viral, and the focus has been on that versus serving other people. This is a service industry. If you are in the wedding industry, and if I'm breaking this to you for the first time, I'm so sorry. The wedding industry is a service-based industry. I know you're an artist. I get it. Like, I know you make beautiful photos and beautiful flowers, and I saw someone in here does perfume. Like, I know you were an artist. And if you got into the wedding industry, it's probably because you love to create and bring beauty into this world. And we take that personal, and we want to do the best, and we want to create our art. And do we know best? Absolutely, especially within our own art. However, we are there to serve our clients. And the quicker you realize that, the the more joy comes about when you start getting asked to do things that you don't want to do. It's going to happen. It's just as important to sweep the floors as it is to make those beautiful things. It's just as important to make your client and your staff and the people around you and your vendors feel loved and taken care of, and as it is to create the art that you like creating. I was doing a wedding, and a couple of my staff members had COVID. They were sick and weren't able to be there. And so I was getting desperate. I called my best friend who's a chef, and she's in the service industry, which is kind of my number one criteria. When I go to hire someone, I'm like, have they ever worked in a restaurant? Do they know what it's like? Or retail. Have you ever had to deal with the general public? Because people are annoying and hard. And so I had her come and work the wedding with us, and she flew out. And at the end, she was like, she calls me Steven. No one calls me Steven except for her and my mom. But she goes, Steven, you are basically a glorified butler. And I just started laughing because on top of all the beauty that I create and the flowers and the cake and all the stuff coming together and everything people see on Instagram behind the scenes, I'm like cleaning up their mess and I'm carrying their luggage and I'm uh, literally sweeping their floor. Or in this situation, the dad forgot his suspenders and he saw I was having some on and he was like, those look like the same kind I was gonna wear. And so I found myself taking off the suspenders and then putting them on him, and putting his coat on him and lint rolling him and all the things to make sure the father of the bride was perfect. Um, I basically was, if you've ever watched Downton Abbey, I'm basically the butler. That's what I do for my weddings. Whatever they need, I'm right there to make sure they have the drink that they want, to make sure that they have like their snacks and they're not getting hangry on me. All the little things that make them feel loved and special. I've done the thing before. I've opened my eyes and I've identified what their needs are, and then I'm right there to make them happen. Be willing to serve, and not just your staff, sorry, not just your clients, serve your staff. Look for ways to serve them. You will become the boss that everybody wants to work for. My main guy that works for me, he's been on my team now for almost 18 years. That's a long time to work for someone. Um, it's because I expect a lot too. Like, I'd like to think I'm a great boss, but I have very high expectations. Very high demands, and you cannot get away with that if you're a horrible person to work with. I'm kind to my staff, I'm generous to them. I find ways to serve them, little things, even my vendors, making sure uh, making sure my photographers have their hot meal on time. And usually the caterer is too busy to make that happen. So I'm usually ordering in food for my vendors. And that's vendor meal number one. And then when the caterer can have the capacity when they're not serving a meal to the guest, then they get vendor meal number two. But just finding ways to make sure everyone is taken care of. Become the butler or the maid, however you want to do it, and find joy. Because the thing is, when you are smiling as you do this, it sets you apart. And in business, that is what you want. You want to be set apart because as you are set apart and people remember that, they talk. And as they talk, they refer. And as you refer, you get more business and your business grows. You can strategize, you can plan all your perfect posts, but if you are not doing these things, your business isn't going to grow in the way that you want it to be. This next one, guard your tongue. Watch what you're saying about people and to people. You guys, I have tripped up myself so many times because I'm telling you, you go to these industry events, people are baiting you to say something about that person's just across the room or that vendor that nobody likes. I learned this from one of my top clients I've ever worked with. They're a very, very well-known family. They own stores all over the world. Um, Amazing family. And I asked her one time about, I was just curious because she rubbed shoulders with lots of famous people. And I asked her one time about what she felt about Jeff Bezos. And because he was at this party. And I was like, are you guys friends? Like, what do you think? Like, you read the stuff. Like, is he really a great guy? And she said, never say anything that can be repeatable. Um, and then she said, communicate. If you have something that's not the best to say, like maybe say it with your facial expressions because people can't repeat a facial expression and you can deny a facial expression. Unless there's a camera in front of your face, no one will ever know about that facial expression. But she taught me, she was like, guard your tongue, be careful what you say because people will always try to bait you in life to say things so that they can run back over to this other person and say, oh, do you know what this person said about you? People love to stir up drama. It's human nature. People love a conflict, a good old conflict where you've stirred the pot and you can step aside and act like you're all innocent. Don't be that person and do not be baited. Guard your tongue. There's been so many times, even recently, you guys, I have messed up and I've let my tongue get the best of me and I have said things I should not have said. Not good. I have a great example. I was talking to a potential new client and this just happened. Would have been, her wedding would have been this year. Oh, I didn't get the wedding. I was talking to a potential new client. She had been a guest at a at a wedding I had just done a few weeks before, and she was like, "We love the wedding so much. It's the best wedding we've ever been to." And I was like, "Thank you. It was. It was pretty great." And then she said, "How did you deal with that crazy woman?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, the crazy woman that brought a suitcase full of snacks to the wedding and was going through and making us carry her suitcase. Are you talking about her?" And then she goes, no, that was me. I was the one with the suitcase. And I was like, oh my gosh, I should have said nothing. I should have been like, oh, I didn't notice a crazy person because there were plenty of crazy people at this wedding. I could have taken my pick. The fact that I chose the one that ended up being her, it was one of the most awkward moments. There is no turning back. There is no like digging yourself out. There is no being like, just kidding. That didn't really happen because I described her so perfectly that it obviously was her. And I couldn't save myself. I just had to say, I wish you the best of luck planning your daughter's wedding. I know you're not going to hire me and end the conversation and then go dig my own grave after that. So guard your tongue. Do not talk about people. Of course, you're going to have your inner circle, your friends that you're so close to, your spouse, maybe your partner, yeah, talk shit to them. But keep it short, keep it brief. And the more you are talking shit, it's doing something to your own heart too. It's not good. It's not good. So I'm not trying to be like, say, be fake and be positive all the time because that's toxic as well. But limit where you're talking. Do not say the things that need to be said, and do not think everyone at this industry event that is pretending to be your friend is your friend. They're not. They're trying to get info so that they could take you down or cause shit later on. Guard your freaking tongue. I can't, this is like, I need to write this across my mirror every day because I get baited every day. And if you get me at the right time of the day, if you get me at a high irritation moment, I'm going to tell you everything you want to know. And I've learned this over and over and over. It always comes back to bite you and hurt your business in the long run. Guard your tongue. Okay. Next one, grace. So after you went and talked shit to everyone, you got to give yourself some grace. Grace, you got to give grace to other people and grace to yourself. This is like a number one thing. You are going to fail. You're going to have weddings that you suck at, where you just like, that wasn't good. You're going to squeak by, have done the bare minimum, have gotten by just enough where the client thinks it was good enough, but you know it wasn't good enough. You have to give yourself grace. You will flounder in this industry if you are too hard on yourself. You have to walk away and be like, yeah, could have done better and I will do better next time. Give yourself grace. If you have messed up and you have created some drama because of your mouth, get through the situation, make some the apologies that you need to apologize for, and give yourself grace and move on. You also have to be willing in the same way that you want to be have grace extended to you, and in the same way that you give yourself grace, you have to be willing to give grace to others. People can be awful. People can be hard. Clients are hard. Other vendors are hard. Your staff is hard. Give them grace, offer them and extend it to them over and over and over. Not in a way where you're being naive, but in a way where it's like, I see you. I know who you are, but I'm not going to let this affect me any longer because the longer you hold on to stuff, it eats at yourself. And the longer you're holding on to that and the more it's eating at yourself, the less creative you're going to be. And you're just not going to soar in your work, in your industry, because you are all consumed by the frustration, and I'm going to say it, the hate that you have for other people. There are people in this industry that I will go as far to say I have hated them for a time. I've hated how they treated me. There are clients that I wish and hope I never see again. There are things you have to like let go of. And the quicker you are to extending grace, the freer you are to live your life, the more creative you are to be producing work that is inspirational. And that cannot happen if you have not extended grace. Let go of things. So be thinking about who are the people that are irritating, that have done things to you, that stole a client. Maybe it's a past person that worked for you that like stole all your ideas, whatever it might be. Write it on a piece of paper, go and burn it, throw it away, let it go. Even if you don't ever interact with them again, extend grace. You will feel this freedom and this joy that is contagious. Um, the other thing with that is like you become this person that is unoffendable. Like people talk shit about me all the time. I hear about it. Like people send me messages on Instagram when they don't like something I posted, or the wedding is not up to their standards, or they don't like the color, or they don't like my home, that my our walls are white, or they don't like the green in my office. I hear stuff all the time. Like people always say stuff. You know what? I've come to a place where I try to be unoffendable, where I'm like, that's their opinion of me. They have a right to that. Hopefully, I've done enough other things that are on my list of how I want to be that they can't attack me and say I wasn't kind to them, that I wasn't generous to them, that I hadn't served them if there had been an opportunity to serve them. And if I'm good with myself and if I have extended grace to myself in the ways where I might have messed up, then I'm in a position where I can also extend it to them and be like, whatever. I don't need to be liked by everyone. I got my people, and that's okay. Extend grace to others and to yourself. Okay. Patience. You have to have a lot of patience. Patience for your clients, patience for your staff, patience for everyone around you because the industry is stressful. It's going to test your patience. The more patient you can be, the better the results. Uh, Gosh, I love that this photo is on here for patience because the Border Patrol took all these flowers away from me. They did in Mexico. Um, and I had my heart set on these flowers, and the floral team I was working with said they took the flowers. They weren't allowed into Mexico. I had to have a lot of patience to work through this situation. Patience with the border, patience with my florist, patience with the client who also wanted this flower. Like there was, and smile through all of it. And I got my flowers. They're sweet peas. That's all I had at this wedding. It's just sweet peas all the way across. I got them in 24 hours notice. I got them. Um, if I respond to situations sometimes with the manner that I want to, with a lack of patience, with hostility, with a lack of kindness, I will only escalate those situations. But by responding with patience, the doors that open and the things that you find out and what you can produce and how you can get through it, you're it's just different. Your brain is clear to think through those tough situations, but it starts with patience. I once had a client that took up 5 hours of my afternoon, and I had only booked 45 minutes for her. But in that 5 hours, it came out. She talked all about her older daughter who had passed away. She talked all about her um, while that daughter was in the hospital with cancer, they had planned her wedding that she was never going to have. And I understood so much more about that mom and why she was the way that she was and the things that frustrated me about her. It's like, okay, this is why you are. You are grieving. And I was able to approach her other daughter's wedding completely differently. It wouldn't have happened if I had timed her out at the 45 minutes or even at the 1 hour max. Um, Having patience and seeing people and responding to people, it will change your business. Next one, juggle. You got to learn how to juggle things because wouldn't it be nice if we could all only do one wedding a year? And that's all we had to focus on. Because I could just do one wedding, at least with my clients, they can be all consuming. And the amount of details you want to put into it, the amount of thought, one wedding could be a full-time job for me. Um, but it's not. And on top of this, the weddings that I do, I am juggling my staff, I'm juggling my family, I'm juggling like other clients. There is so much to juggle. So the quicker you learn to juggle, and as you can learn to identify what I'm going to share with you here, the better it's going to be. So juggling, as you have all of these balls going up into the air, some of them are going to be ones that are made of rubber, and some are going to be ones that are made of glass. What this means is some of your balls that you are juggling around, they're going to hit the floor. If they are glass, they're going to break. If they are rubber, they're going to bounce back up. So as you are going through your day, like I have a list actually right here next to me, which I shouldn't because it's very distracting. I have a list of everything I have to accomplish today before I get on a plane to head to Charleston in a couple hours. And it's a long list and it's not all going to happen. So I need to identify which ones are made of glass and which ones are made of rubber. What are the things that if I do not get done before I get on that plane for Charleston, what things are going to shatter? And it's going to be a situation that like there's going to be so many consequences versus what are the things that when I'm not going to get done today, when they hit the floor tonight because they didn't get done, they're going to bounce right back up and I can catch them tomorrow or the next day. There are times that I have to disappoint my kids because if I say no to this client over here, all hell's going to break loose. They're going to lose trust in me. They're going to make my life hell. And there are going to be so many consequences if I do not get this done, if I do not prepare for the meeting that's coming up. I got to get it done. That is a glass ball that if it hits the ground, it's going to shatter and there would be no recovery. It's done. And I know that my kid, I just hung out with them last night and we did a lot and we are bonded. We are good. We are solid. I can say, hey, bud, not tonight. But I can do this a little bit later. That ball's going to hit. Is he going to be disappointed? Maybe. Sure. Yeah, but it's going to bounce right back up. However, there are times that if I say no to my daughter, she's going to end up in counseling. Like I know it. I'm going to be creating generational childhood trauma that for the rest of her life she's going to be dealing with. And so I know I have to say no to that client. I'm so sorry. I have to cancel this meeting. I have to take care of this over here. Does that make sense? Is that making sense? Identify as you are juggling all these things in life, what's going to be breakable, what is going to be rubber and can bounce back up, and then get the breakable things done and then address those things that were rubber. Okay, just a few more minutes here and just a few more things. Community. You have to surround yourself with really good people. You do. This one's kind of self-explanatory, but I'm just going to say the people that you can have in your life are the people that you become like. So if you have toxic people in your life that are just like, yeah, that's probably not going to work out, or people that don't believe in you, or people that are just always negative and always talking shit, you are going to become that person. Surround yourself with really positive people that believe in you, that believe in your dreams, that support you, that are going to show up when they don't have a wedding and say like, hey, do you need an extra set of hands? Let me help you set this up. Surround yourself with good community. It will carry you in the hard moments. It will support you when you need support. It will celebrate you when you have good things happening. Surround yourself with good community. Build a team. You cannot do what you're doing by yourself. And it's similar to community, but a team is even a step closer. These are the people that you can count on from day to day to day to be there. I would be nothing without my team. I need my team. I would be lost. There are things I'm just not good at that my company is known for being good at. And so you take my team away, we will flounder and fall. Am I a wedding planner? Yes. Am I organized? No, I'm not. Like I keep everything in my head or in my silly little pad of paper over here. I will get to it. I will remember it when I can. Um, I need those type A people. My assistant, bless her heart, I love her. She annoys the hell out of me sometimes because she's so detailed. And I'm like, just do it. It's fine. It's good. But her strengths are not my strengths. And that is a good thing. So identify your weakness and build a team and hire all the people that are good at things that you are not good at. Because then I do what only I can do, and my team does everything else. Okay. Next one, after you build a team, encourage them. After you have clients, encourage them. As you have people around you, as you have your core, your clients, your group, all those people, spend a good amount of your life, a good part of your day being an encouragement. Something shifts within your own heart again when you take your eyes off of yourself and you put it on other people. So when you are going to social media, stop trying to go viral and stop trying to like just get all the people to follow you and like what you're doing. Be the person that's going to these other posts and being like, wow, I love what you created. And don't be fake about it. If you don't like it, just keep on scrolling by. But when you see something that's actually beautiful and makes you stop, like it. And honestly, bottom line, if you see somebody that you know or are connected with, before you even see what they posted, just tap that little heart, just like whatever they did, support them in that way. But when you see what they've done, actually comment and engage and tell them, we all need encouragement. I don't care if you've been doing this for 24 years or 24 days. We need the same kind of encouragement to keep on going. So when you are that for other people, it makes a difference. Your name is known as someone that, like, wow, they're always saying good things about people. They're always saying nice things. Also, people see those comments. I have people that follow me because they'll be like, hey, I saw your name popping up on all these things, and you were always like spot on with what you were saying about like why you like certain things. Like, it made me click over to your page and follow you. You will grow in so many ways by being an encourager. All right. These last two go hand in hand. It's dream and believe. dream. Your business is going to go nowhere if you stop dreaming. And I've gotten stuck in this because everything that I dreamed when I started out in my business, I accomplished. I did. All those things that I thought were unattainable and that I would never get to do, I did that and then more. And I stopped dreaming. And you know what? When I stopped dreaming, I stopped being inspired. And I feel like it showed up in my work. I feel like it showed up in my day to day. I started hating weddings and being bored by them and resenting weddings, honestly. It's because I stopped dreaming new dreams. And so wherever you are in your career, the Wed Vibes team, they have accomplished so much in a short amount of time. And I got this email from them yesterday and they're sharing like new dreams that they have. I love that about you guys. Like you are dreaming new dreams. You're like, hey, we accomplished what we set out to. It's not enough. There's more. There's got to be more to life than what we've already done. Let's take on a new challenge. And that's amazing. And that's what we should all be doing in our work, dreaming new dreams. And the second you stop doing that, you start to become stagnant, you start to become irrelevant, and you start to just be bored. The other side of that is believe. If you do not believe in the beauty of your own dreams, no one else is. No one's going to say, like, I'm going to hire that sad person over there that doesn't seem very inspired, but maybe they'll be inspired by the job I want to give them. No, no investor is going to say, like, they seem pretty unsure about themselves, but sure, I'll give them the money that they want. No, if you are passionate and believe in the beauty of your own dreams, you are going to get so many people on board with you. I'm telling you, it's going to change everything. You will feel like those ideas that are not tangible are tangible. And you just say it, it's going to happen. Like someday, you guys, you're going to walk into Target and you're going to go by this end cap and it's going to say Sinclair and more. And there's going to be like towels and home goods and like cake stands and all the kind of beauty that you're going to bring into your home. And you're going to be like, yeah, he said that was going to happen one day. I'm not done dreaming. It's taking longer to get there than I want, but someday I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to have the right connection, the right doors are going to happen. There was a time when I stopped believing that because it has taken longer than I wanted. And I have friends that are very successful, and I have multiple friends with products in Target. And every time I walk by their end cap, I both celebrate them and I curse a little bit, like, when's it my turn? I want it to be my turn. But I'm so excited for them. And one of them said, you stopped believing in that dream. You thought you gave up on that. And they were so right. And so, you know what? I'm back to dreaming and I am back to believing in the dreams that I have. And I hope I'm contagious to the people that I share that with. I hope they believe in it for me. And I hope I speak about it with such confidence that they're going to Target tonight already looking for those products, thinking that they're there. Um, Dream and believe in yourself. So, again, these are the ways, and if we had more time, I would tell you more, but these are the ways that I have built my business. These are the things I have focused on in 24 years. I have actually never built a business plan. I've never sat down to write down, this is what I need to do. I started once and I saw the numbers and I was like, oh, that's not going to happen. And so I stopped because it was making me stressed out. This is how I've built it. This is how I'm going to continue to build it as well. So I know I've taken up a long time. If you have questions, I'd love to answer anything or comments. Yeah,
Thank you, Steve. That was so inspiring. I guess there also were like some conventional things like hard work, you know. Yeah,
absolutely.
in your case, for sure. Okay, I think that we have around 5 minutes, so I have my question, but I will keep it because we have several questions in the chat. I see there is our dearest friend Holly. Holly, do you want to turn on your mic and read out loud your question, or you want me to read it?
I can do it. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah, I know that there is
Okay.
a chance to connect. Yeah, please go ahead.
I know. Thank you so much for sharing. So inspiring. Just the right timing for me, even
Oh,
just
thanks,
today to
Holly.
hear this. So thank you. One of the questions that I had is I keep coming up against people talking about how to make like, I love how you talk about the client process and like developing relationships while also keeping it very relational and organic. It's not like a process, but it's something that you've
Yeah.
learned and dialed in over time. What have you found that's moved the needle most with like bringing your heart and connecting that to clients and planners and other vendors that has actually like worked? So you're not like wasting all of
Mhm.
your money, but also not undershooting. Kind of where's that like sweet spot that you found, like either gifts or surprise and delight moments that really have made a huge impact in building that relational network?
Yep. Knowing your client. You might have heard of this idea of like the five love languages. Um, Without them having to tell me, I can usually pretty much identify what their love language is. There are some people that you give them a gift, they'll be like, that's clutter. That's money that could have been spent somewhere else. Like they're not going to appreciate it. They might appreciate something else. And so, understanding how they receive love and then meeting them there, whether it's a client, a vendor or a staff member or my own family, like understanding their love language. For me, I have found that only happens with a generosity of time and opening my eyes to see people. When I'm trying to get through the meeting quickly, there are some meetings, I tell my wife this all the time, like that could have been like an email, that could have been like a 2 minute call. If I could just be like, hey, blah, 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 and didn't have to do all the pleasantries, didn't have to hear the stories. I'm telling you, I could have so much more time in my life, but that extra time, it is what has led to my best designs, is led to the best trust. So it's for me, if you're looking to like hone in on one thing, the generosity of time and opening your eyes to see the people that you're serving, because then you will realize what those things are, because it's going to be different for each person. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Steve. I see there are several questions from Margarita. Margarita, if you're here, can you pick one and ask Steve, or I can pick for you? All right, I can read out because I loved the one about up and down. So I will read it for you, Steve, and
Yeah.
hopefully you will give a great answer. When do you know you are moving up and or leveling up in your business? What are those signs, and how do you live through the lows of that period?
That's such a good question. Are you allowed to go over like an hour, or does your Zoom cut off at 1 hour?
I guess your plane will take off.
No,
Not
I
our.
have I have time. If I have to like push it back, there's one more flight tonight too. Okay. Here's the thing. Um, Life is full of highs and lows. It is bound to happen, and there is a time and a season for everything. If I'm being transparent, I will tell you, I feel like I am in a very big low right now in my business. And I think a lot of the industry is right now, and I think we have to put on smiles and we have to on social media look like everything is successful and everything is great, but life isn't like that, and you're going to have lows. You cannot be on the mountaintop all along. Um, I have found the best way is one, no matter if I'm on the mountaintop or in the valley, to find things to be generate or to be grateful for. Gratitude is is everything, and it changes your perspective so much because your low is probably still someone's high and someone's like feeling really great. So I would say like if you can re-examine your situation and say, this isn't happening, that's not happening, this is frustrating. However, this is what I am grateful for. And if you always come back to that perspective, and again, I'm not trying to spread toxic positivity. I know that that's a thing in the culture right now. I am saying, like, you can take every thought captive in your mind and you can be intentional about how you respond and what your attitude is going to be towards your situation. So, is this a slower year for me than I wanted? Absolutely. However, I am grateful for the time that I have had with my kids and my family that I have not had in the last couple of years. I am grateful for the time to rethink some of the things that I want to do and become more passionate about some of the things that I haven't had time for. And so just reshaping the mindset has really helped me a lot. And how do you recognize you're on a mountaintop? Really, I think that comes down to like an individual person because I have friends that I look at that I think are so wildly successful that are absolutely on top of a mountain and they don't even recognize it and they're still unhappy in life and they still want more and they it's never enough, and they have beautiful families at home and a beautiful home and a very successful business and they do not feel content. And so learning to be content in every situation, I think is a key. And you will you won't have this greatest distance between the high mountaintops and the lows. You kind of just go through life just seeing the beauty in it. The other thing I've realized too is because I feel like over the last 24 years, and I just came to this realization, I have thought I would get to this place and then I would have arrived. If could just get products at Target, then I will feel like I've accomplished it all. And then I have arrived earlier in my career. If I could just get that $1 million wedding. And then it was like, if I could just get a wedding abroad. And then it's like, oh, if I could just be only destination weddings. Every time I would hit that, I would still feel like dissatisfied. And the problem wasn't that I was in a valley, it's like I wasn't content. And so balancing contentment with also being driven, um, it's a tricky balance and fine line, but learning to be content in every situation is helping me, especially in this year where I have a lot I could be like, this isn't right, and I wish this was like that, and oh, this feels hard. And there's I've learned that the good and the bad happen together. The hard times and the beautiful times they're in conjunction, and uh, gratitude changes everything. Yeah,
Thank you, Steve. And I guess the challenging times, it's also kind of because we're vulnerable, we're usually ready to revisit our strategies and to change the approaches. And I guess
yeah,
the lecture that you gave now and like this one, two, three, four, I guess 11 statements, right,
yeah,
also helps us to, okay, to apply something and to look at the situation from different angle. And this is actually usually the challenging time is the time when we grow, as simple as it sounds. Yeah, and with, let's say, and the way we go through these times, usually it's actually identificator of if we can move to another level or we can be stuck and disappointed.
for
Thank you
sure.
again
Yeah,
for,
can I say one
yeah,
more thing? If you
go
find
ahead.
yourself in a valley, look over some of this other list that I shared with you. Like find community, because sometimes you need other people to remind you of who you are. That is the importance of some of these other things. Um, gosh, you know, I had a moment of being like, oh my gosh, this feels like a slower year. Like, how are we going to make everything connect? Um, I went out to my mailbox, you guys, and I just like a couple weeks ago, I had a client from last year who was like, we forgot to give you gratuity that you deserved. And it popped in my head, and like that wedding would not have been what it was without you. And there was this check for a very large amount of money. So things come back on you, things work out. I don't know, make sure you are kind of just analyzing how you're going about your business. And I think in a slower time, that is the perfect time to re-examine, make some changes, make the shifts, and see what happens.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
And I guess you actually shared and expressed everything that you preached, the kindness, generosity, honesty, and you've been on the journey yourself. And you arrive to the point when, yeah, you can analyze and summarize it and express it so we all can not only get inspiration, but learn some lessons and again, get some bravery for us. Because I know, and I also, guys, I talk to you quite often, and I know that many of you, going through challenging time because like the recession, some personal challenges. And Steve, I know that, and people put it in the chat, so I want you also to spend a minute and to read the chat because so many great things, words go into you. That it's for many of you, it's such a great moment of your life for this lecture and the way you structured everything. Thank you on behalf of all the Web Vibes community, and I'm glad that yeah, this is one of the community where you can come and be true to yourself and talk about something that we usually don't talk in the fancy networking events. So thank you again, Steve. And guys, thank you for coming. Also being honest, giving this praise and the kind words, because that's a movement and the feeling we create. It also helps us to grow and create what we create. And with that, I'm gonna end up the session and hopefully I will see all of you next time at our next live and maybe we will meet in person. Thank you again, Steve.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for these kind comments too. This is so nice.
Yeah, keep reading them. We will keep the chat open for
All
a
right.
minute, but you guys can hop off. All right, thank you and
Thank you,
All
goodbye.
right.
Have a
Steve.
great rest
Thank
of
you,
your
everyone.
night and great
Thank you.
rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.